What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? T to the M to the IDD. We are back. Today I have a special video for you where a lot of the times you see me inside the studio creating magic, but here I wanted to take the time to explain how I'm actually getting these images. And so today I have Miss Sierra helping me out with this setup. Now we're going to do a simple one light setup. I'm using the Nikon Z7 II and my go-to lens, Nikon 70-200, and I have an interesting setup because I want you all to see what's on the back of my screen. So we are using the Godox MS300 for the flash. I have a 34-inch beauty dish that we're going to use for the light modifier. But if you see this thing kind of like sticking off the top, it's actually a Moman video transmitter, and so that's going to allow you all to see the adjustments that I make on the back of my screen in real time. And so I'm going to show you how to control the ambient lighting inside the studio so that you get the full utilization out of your lighting setup. So are you ready? Yeah. I know that was a lot that I just said, a lot of Spanish going on, but let's do it. All right, we're going to clap. Okay. What is going on, guys? And before we get into this particular video, I just wanted to give you a little bit of information and a big shout out to my friends Moman Global. Now, Moman sent me these video transmitters that I was able to utilize in helping me make this video. Now, a lot of the times with this particular video, people use the Atomos Ninja, and that helps you see what is actually on the LCD screen. But these wireless video, I might add, transmitters allow me to still get the job done. And so what I had with this particular setup was the transmitter and receiver, and I had the transmitter hooked up to my Nikon Z7 II, and that was fed into the receiver, and the receiver output into my 4K field world monitor screen. And so that is why you can see my screen in this particular setup coming up. But in a traditional setup, these are great for photography and videography. And so in the box, let's open it up. We get a surprise. We have some instructions, and what we have is the transmitter and the receiver. And as you can see, they can be powered by a battery, but also on the side there is a jack where it could be powered by USB-C. Now, the great thing about these is that they have a built-in antenna. They also have a low latency, and they do have a 600-foot range. So this is great quality. Now, the max output is 1080p at 60 hertz. So not quite 4K, but 1080, still looking clean. And so in the terms of photography, I used it this particular way, but I also use this set at a recent demonstration where everyone could see my screen in live view. Also had it tethered just so they could see the final image. But in terms of live view, seeing my settings, these came in handy. Now, besides the photography applications, these have endless videography applications. And in one particular case, I'll show you here, I was actually helping with the recording of a movie that is set to come out, a short film, and I put these to the test. I actually disrupted the line of sight from these antennas, and they still worked great. still worked great. Now, they were actually hooked up to, so we had the transmitter hooked up to a rig, and that rig was a C200. That C200 transmitted to the receiver. The receiver went into a field world screen, and there we had some other folks on set that was actually watching the playback. And let me tell you the benefit of that. Having other eyes on the camera with the cameraman offers different perspectives. You might not see things in the background. There could be disruptions. It might not be the best angle. So you get multiple perspectives that could ultimately help whatever you are doing. So shout out to Moman. These have been absolutely great. If you are a photography videographer and you can see an application for using these wireless video transmitters, I'm telling you, you can't go wrong with these. Absolutely great with performance. Now let's get into the video. Okay, so what we're going to start with is the ambient lighting, and you can see my settings right here. I do have two lights helping me in this particular situation, but you can see they are not as bright. So if I bump up the ISO just to try to get a nice decent exposure down here, then I would be at ISO 320. And so I'm going to take a picture right here. So if you look at the camera, give me that fake smile. Okay, there we go. Boom. Okay, and so you see that is with getting decent exposure with the ambient lighting here. But what we actually want to do is we want to kill the ambient lighting in a sense. And so the way that you would do that is essentially you want to get your settings to a point where you cannot see any of this lighting that you see right here. So what I'm going to do is take the ISO all the way down, and typically I go to 100, and then my shutter speed, since she'll probably be moving a little bit, I would start at 1/160, and so you can see where my ambient lighting is right there. And so just so that we get her fully in focus, what we are going to do is take out f-stop from 2.8 on the 70 to 200. We're going to go all the way to f8. And so right there is a pretty decent mark. And I'm going to turn the flash on, but right here you can actually see there's no actual lighting in the shot, and that is where you want to be. So from that particular point, I will now turn on the flash. And when I turn on the flash, now you get a false representation of the ambient lighting. But with the flash off, we're seeing where it's at. Now we want to introduce the flash. And so this is a Godox MS300. And since I've been down here shooting a lot, I know about 1/8 power is pretty decent. But what I typically would do is start off at about 1/4 power. So let's start off in that use case. And so we're going to have her look at the camera one more time and give us the fake smile. Okay. Okay. And so that is the shot that we get. And 1/4 power actually isn't that bad. So you actually could shoot it right there. We're going to take a couple more shots just to see what we get. All right, so you look at me, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. You see how I adjust my settings for ambient lighting in order to control the settings inside my home studio, which that is the key benefit of working inside of a studio, is that you can completely have control over the lighting, and there your creative mind can roam freely and do as you please without having to worry about things like the sun drastically changing or clouds moving in and out, and that's the benefit. So if you are using a studio and you want to have that control, these are just settings that are a reference for my in-home studio. So keep that in mind. This is just a reference. You may be in a place that has more powerful lighting. For example, I have recessed lighting in my basement that is more powerful, so I tend to turn it off so that I don't have to stomp down on my f-stop or increase my shutter, just so that I can eliminate all the ambient lighting. Now, it could vary from person to person, so definitely just take this as a reference and adjust to your specific case. Once you do that, add your flash, dial in your settings, and create. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope it was helpful being able to see my settings on the back of the screen thanks to those wireless video transmitters by Moman. And if this video was helpful, hit that like button, subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one.